Yo, what is up guys? Delboy here, aka Blue Collar Sports TV. Hopefully you guys are doing well. If you're new here, smash that like, hit subscribe, all of that good stuff. So this video is a quick preview and prediction for Lyndon versus Anthony Yarde 2. It goes down on the 4th of December, takes place at the Copperbox Arena, goes down on BT in the UK, and I'm assuming ESPN in the USA. Now, I'm actually really looking forward to this fight. The first fight, it was one of those fights which never really caught fire. Watching it at the time, it was intriguing, it held your attention, but it wasn't one of those fights that necessarily you would watch back. Ultimately, it was a tactical affair, and I felt at the time that both fighters held a lot back. The final result was a split decision to Lyndon. I actually had that fight a draw. A lot of people were making out like Lyndon schooled Anthony Yarde. I thought it was a really close fight, and to me, it really wasn't that conclusive. So going into this rematch, I'm really looking forward to it, and I've got a hunch that it's going to be a much better fight this time around. When you look at it, it seems like there's a lot more on the line this time around. Anthony Yarde, a defeat for him would be extremely detrimental to his career. If he has any world level ambitions, he needs to win this rematch, let's be honest about it. And Lyndon going into this rematch has his backup. He doesn't seem happy that he's got to fight Anthony Yarde again, and he seems rather pissed off that he's got to go to London to do it. Bear in mind, he won the first fight, and he's still got to go to Anthony Yarde's backyard for this rematch. So Arthur has his backup. He seems quite wound up, and obviously on top of that, he's not going to want to lose the momentum which he got from beating Yarde the first time. So combining those factors, I think both guys in this fight are going to show a little bit more, maybe take a few more risks, and I just see more drama in this fight. I think it's going to be a much better fight. But anyway, let's start with the tail of the tape. Lyndon stands at 6'2", with around a 74-inch reach, whereas Anthony Yarde, he stands at 6 foot with a 72-inch reach. So Lyndon is the taller, longer man, 2 inches in height and 2 inches in reach. And as we saw in the first fight, that definitely plays into Lyndon hands. He really made the most of that height and reach in the first fight. Lyndon he's got a perfect record of 19-0, 13 of which coming by way of knockout. Anthony Yarde has a record of 21 wins with 2 defeats, 20 of those 21 wins coming by way of knockout. So going by the tail of the tape, it appears that Anthony Yarde is the bigger puncher. And, you know, from what I've seen of both guys, I believe that to be the case. If you go back and watch the first fight, Lyndon really was the only guy hurt in that fight, so I definitely think Anthony Yarde has the power advantage going into this bout. Both of these guys are orthodox fighters. Lyndon is 30 years old, as is Anthony Yarde. So both guys, in my opinion, are in or around their prime. Now the tail of the tape is out of the way, let's briefly break down what I believe each guy should do. And at the end of this video, I will make my official prediction. I will start with Anthony Yarde, who lost the first fight. Now, when it comes to the first fight, my opinion on it is different to others. I feel Anthony Yarde lost it more so than Lyndon won it. I felt that fight was there for Anthony Yarde, but honestly, he just didn't do enough. He seemed very reluctant to let his hands go. I wondered whether that was because he didn't have faith in his gas tank after the Kovalev fight. That's what it appeared to me. He looked like a guy who was second guessing himself. But if you watch that first fight, the couple of occasions where Yarde put his shots together, he either made Lyndon look uncomfortable, or in the last round, he actually hurt Lyndon. So this time around, first and foremost, Anthony Yarde needs to be a lot more busy. Theoretically, going into this fight, I expect Anthony Yarde to be the aggressor, like the first fight, but I want to see Anthony Yarde utilise that quick jab much more regularly in this fight as he's walking down Lyndon. Give Arthur something to think about, maybe try and score a few points with it. In the first fight, to me, Anthony Yarde was guilty of just following Lyndon around. He wasn't really utilising a jab or, anything like that. He was just following Arthur around, not really doing too much. He was biding his time far too much. So in this rematch, I want to see Yarde be much more effective and consistent with that jab, not only to apply pressure and, cut the ring off, but also to try and set up shots as well. One thing about Anthony Yarde, he is very quick. Nice quick reactions, he can be a quick counter-puncher. Maybe try and draw the lead of Lyndon Arthur, make Lyndon Arthur commit to a shot, maybe keep on throwing the jab, set that pattern, and then start throwing feints in there, feint the jab, try and draw the lead, and then counter. I think Yarde has the athletic ability to do that, I think he's got the speed to do that, and I certainly think he's got the power to hurt Lyndon Arthur. One thing about Lyndon Arthur I'm not convinced about is his chin. I saw him hurt by Yarde in that first fight, and even before then, go back and watch his fight with the Ghanaian dude, Emmanuel Anim. He got hurt a couple of times in that fight. I believe if Yarde can land those shots, he can definitely hurt Arthur, but he needs to be more cute about landing those shots in this fight. So, at times in this fight, I want to see Yarde try to draw the lead and counter Lyndon Arthur. Again, it gives him something else to think about. Obviously, Yarde can't just be relying on that, looking for one perfect shot. I also want to see him just up his work rate in general in this fight. In order to do that, I want to see Yarde change his stance ever so slightly, not fight out of that shoulder roll style, but come forwards, maybe still with a side-on profile, but more of a guard, a nice tight high guard, and try to walk down Lyndon Arthur. Primarily Lyndon throws straight shots, and Lyndon does do that very well, but Lyndon doesn't really have much variety in his work. He can throw different shots, but he doesn't do it on a regular basis. I want to see Anthony Yarde try to walk down Lyndon Arthur with a nice tight high guard and throw ramrod jabs out of that guard, because doing that, I think he can block a lot of the straight shots that Lyndon Arthur throws, particularly that jab, and I think he can walk him down that way. Obviously, if you guys have seen Lyndon Arthur fight, he's got a tendency to sit on the ropes, and he does this numerous times in a fight when the fight goes a few rounds. Go and watch the Faraci fight, the first Yarde fight, the Dex Spellman fight. Lyndon Arthur likes to spend a lot of time sitting on the ropes and countering. I think he does that because he's looking for a rest. I don't think it's really by design, to be honest, because I think Lyndon is much better when he's taking the back foot, popping the jab, and keeping you turning, keeping you moving. That's when I think Lyndon is at his best, because when he's on the ropes, he does get caught. The mistake Yarde made first time around, he was far too tentative in those moments to let his hands go when Arthur was on the ropes. Every time he did, Arthur looked uncomfortable, but he didn't do it enough. So every single time Arthur's back hits those ropes, Yarde needs to throw. He needs to throw combinations with speed and power, try to overwhelm Lyndon Arthur. And ultimately, Yarde in this fight just needs to be a lot more aggressive. He needs to be a lot more effective at cutting the ring off. And also on top of that, I would like to see Anthony Yarde try to work that body. He does have a really good left hook to the body when he throws it. Doesn't throw it enough in my opinion, but I think that shot could be pivotal for him to slow down Lyndon Arthur in this bout. Ultimately, it's up to Anthony Yarde to make this fight, to chase this fight. He's got to be the aggressor in this bout. He's fighting a taller, longer guy who can move, who can jab. It's up to Anthony Yarde to really apply the pressure. Hopefully he's been working on that in camp. As for Lyndon Arthur, first time around he basically won the fight on his jab, didn't really throw the right hand. There's been a debate whether that was because his right hand was injured. It's actually hard to say why he wasn't throwing the right hand in the first fight. In one breath he's insinuating that his right hand was injured, but in the next breath he basically insinuates that Anthony Yarde took that right hand away and he was too wary of what was coming back. Regardless, in this rematch, Linden needs to box the same way he boxed first time around, behind that jab. Yarde isn't great at throwing while he's moving coming forwards. He's not great at throwing while his feet are moving. He really needs you to be stationary so he can set his feet and then throw combinations. So Linden in this fight, he needs to keep moving behind that jab, obviously. Take the half step back, keep Anthony Yarde off balance, keep him turning. But behind that, I want to see him throw the right hand, that quick right hand behind that jab. When Lyndon actually throws that right hand, it does have some pop behind it. He just doesn't throw it enough. I want to see Lyndon incorporate that right hand in this fight, because if you look at Anthony Yarde, primarily he fights with a low lead hand and he comes in straight lines. He's open for a good straight right hand, but Lyndon in that first fight wasn't taking advantage of that low lead hand. So I want to see Lyndon implement a few more power shots to his game in this particular bout. The jab in the first fight was perfect. It was varied in terms of its speed, in terms of its power. I liked how Lyndon was jabbing from body to head, and he needs to be doing that again in this rematch. Ultimately, everything Lyndon does well comes off that jab. The only thing I would say, I would like more jabs to the body from Lyndon Arthur. Not even just like the solar plexus, but to the chest. I mean, we saw Sergey Kovalev be very successful with that jab to the chest in his fight with Anthony Yarde. He basically drained Anthony Yarde by constantly jabbing that chest. I want to see Lyndon do something a bit more similar in this fight, you know. Try to put more of an exclamation point on your victory and really jab that body, jab that chest, try to wear down Anthony Yarde, and then start opening up with a right hand, and maybe even look for the knockout down the stretch. I know primarily Lyndon is a pure boxer, but I want to see him implement a bit more boxer punching in this particular fight. I think he's got the capabilities to do it. I think he's got enough power to do it, but he does seem reluctant at times. And going into this rematch, it's in London, there is a crowd, so if it's the same sort of fight again where it's super close, there's every chance that Anthony Yarde gets the decision. So I think Lyndon needs to be a lot more he needs to take a lot more initiative in this fight and be a bit more aggressive, in my opinion. But when you match both guys together, I think it's competitive. Obviously, we saw that in the first fight. It was very close, and I expect this fight to be evenly fought for the most part. But going into this rematch, for whatever reason, I am fancying Anthony Yarde in this bout. He seems really up for it. Lyndon Arthur doesn't seem particularly keen on this rematch for whatever reason. And I've just got a gut feeling in this one. It's not particularly scientific, but I think Anthony Yarde is going to win this rematch. I really do. And I've got a hunch as well, it's going to be by late stoppage. I could see it going to points. I could see Lyndon Arthur winning. But my gut feeling is Anthony Yarde by knockout. More than likely late, but I do believe he's going to avenge his defeat for some reason. But I am looking forward to it. It's a good fight. Share your thoughts below. Who are you picking to win this fight? Are you going with the more technical boxer in Lyndon Arthur? Or like me, do you have a feeling that the puncher is going to get it done this time around? Share your thoughts below. It's been your guy Delboy. Peace.